Good evening and welcome in tonight's news edition. His Majesty the King reaffirmed the need for the international community to push for an end to the Israeli aggression on Gaza. The Foreign Minister urges the international community to carry out its responsibilities to stop Israel's war on Gaza. And at least 132 Palestinians are killed over the past 24 hours as Israel continues its bombardment and airstrikes on the Gaza Strip. Welcome again, I'm Samah Talala. His Majesty King Abdullah received a phone call from Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte. His Majesty reaffirmed the need for the international community to push for an end to the Israeli aggression on Gaza, warning of the escalatory rhetoric from Israeli officials. Deputizing for His Majesty King Abdullah, Royal Court Chief Youssef Aisawi attended a ceremony celebrating Arbor Day at the Silver Jubilee Forest in Gatrane in Al-Karak. The event, attended by Agriculture Minister Khaled, focused on the importance of forest conservation and expanding green areas as part of Jordan's sustainable agricultural efforts. Aisawi highlighted the King's dedication to increasing forest cover, emphasizing the use of modern technologies to protect forest resources, preventing encroachments and control forest fires. Minister Hnefat discussed the forest role within the National Sustainable Agriculture Plan and its afforestation component. This plan encompasses afforestation projects across the kingdom, aligning with the initiative to plant 10 million trees over the next 10 years. He also announced an initiative to cultivate 25,000 dunums across the country, commemorating the Silver Jubilee of King Abdullah's accession to the throne. Foreign Minister Ayman Al-Safadi met with Sigrid Kaag, the United Nations Senior Humanitarian and Reconstruction Coordinator for Gaza. The meeting focused on the latest developments in Gaza Strip and efforts to put an end to the humanitarian catastrophe resulting from Israel's war on Gaza. Safadi urged the international community to carry out its responsibilities and work to stop the war and humanitarian catastrophe in harmony with the rules of international law and international legitimacy resolutions calling for an end to the war. Foreign Minister Ayman Al-Safadi also met with a delegation representing Churches for Middle East Peace Organization. The minister discussed with the delegation the repercussions of Israel's aggression on Gaza, efforts to crystallize an international stance to stop the war on Gaza that resulted in a humanitarian catastrophe. The meeting also touched on Israel's unilateral, illegitimate and illegal measures in the West Bank and Jerusalem, restrictions imposed by Israel on the freedom of worship, and the need to put an end to the settlers' attacks against Palestinians. Israeli forces bombarded targets in the south, north, and center of Gaza ahead of an expected announcement by Hamas on the fate of 3 Israelis held hostage by the Palestinian group, shown in a video clip at the weekend. Health officials said 12 Palestinians were killed and others wounded in an Israeli airstrike overnight on a house in Gaza City in the north, while plumes of smoke rose above the main southern city of Khan Yunis, shelled by Israeli tanks. Fierce clashes were reported between Hamas fighters and Israeli forces in Khan Yunis, while Israeli tank barrages were also reported near Librej and Al-Maghazi refugee camps in central Gaza. The health ministry in Gaza said 132 Palestinian civilians have been killed and 252 wounded in the enclave in the past 24 hours. It said at least 24,000 people have been killed and about 61,000 wounded in more than 3 months of Israeli aggression on Gaza. Meanwhile, United Nations agencies renewed their appeal for humanitarian ceasefire in the Strip. In the occupied West Bank, Israeli forces killed 5 Palestinians in separate incidents, including 2 who were shot dead when their car broke through a checkpoint. The Palestinian Health Ministry said 2 teenagers were killed by Israeli troops near Ramallah in another incident. In a third incident further north, the Palestinian Health Ministry said another young man was shot dead by Israeli forces in a refugee camp near the city of Jericho. Israeli army raids and attacks by settlers have killed at least 343 people in the West Bank since October the 7th. The chief negotiator for Yemen's Houthis said the group's position has not changed since US-led airstrike on Yemen and warned attacks on ships headed to Israel will continue. Mohammed Abdeslam added the group's demands are still for an end of the Israeli offensive in Gaza and allowing humanitarian aid to the north and south of the Strip. Earlier, the United States military announced that it has shot down a missile fired at one of its vessels by Iran-backed Houthis. That's it for tonight. Thanks for joining.